This activity was created for students who are working on matching and receptive ID of vocabulary. These two skills are the foundational skills for teaching kids to understand language, and matching comes before receptive ID. Matching is taking one object and matching it to another object. Now, the easiest way to do this would be to use actual objects, and I would start in a field of 1. So you match one object to one object, and they're the same object. They look identical. Here's how you would set up matching object to object where the objects are exactly the same. So you would say match, and you would give this to the student, and they would have to put it right next to the other one. That's the easiest way you could possibly do this activity. Then the next level up from that would be to match one object to a field of 2 objects, or you could have a field of 2 objects to match to one object. You could make this activity harder by having the student have to match in a field of 2. So now they're given this and they have to match. Match. I've also done this activity where the student is given 2 items and there's one object on the other side, and they have to match the same object to same object, but they're given a field of 2 or 3 or however many you want to put over here, and they have to match. That might be a little bit easier, or it might be harder. This might be harder for the student, where there's 2 objects over there, one in front of them, and they have to match. After that, then what I would do is increase the field size of all the objects until you get to a point where the student is having difficulty. Then I would stop. If you increase the field size even more, it's going to be a harder task. To make matching objects harder, you can take the objects that you're trying to match and make them look different. So for example, you could have one spoon that's black, or one spoon that's white, and one spoon that's metal, and you can have the student match the objects when they look different from one another. One way you could make matching object to object harder is to make the objects look a little bit different. So now this spoon is a little bit different than that one's bigger. So you would say match, and they would put it right next to the other one. This is an even bigger difference. You say match, they have to match. They're both spoons, but they look different. Then you could try matching object to object in a field of 2. So you would match the objects together, but they don't look the same. I've also tried this activity where you give the student 2 objects and there's one object over there where they have to match, and they have to pick the right one. So they have to pick and match, as opposed to having the objects over there and having them have to match. Once the student's able to match, then you can try matching object to picture or picture to object. And again, if you make them look the same, it will be easier. If you make them look different, it will be harder. Once they can do that, then you might want to try matching picture to picture, same picture, and then matching picture to picture where there's a different picture. And then after that, what I would do is try receptive ID. Receptive ID is touching, pointing, or giving, and the easiest would be a field of 1. And then after that, it would be a field of 2, 3, 4, and so on. Start with receptive ID of objects, then go to receptive ID of pictures. The next level up would be receptive ID. So you would say, give me, touch, point, take, whatever the object is. So give me banana, and the student would have to give. If you want to make that harder, add more items. Give me banana. Give me banana. Until there's a larger array. So if they're responding, increase the field size. If they're not responding, decrease the field size. You could progress this skill even harder by having the child have to find all of an object. Give me all of the plates, and they have to give you this one, and this one. That's if they're able to receptively ID one object in a large field. You can do this activity with any objects that you have at home that your child uses on a regular basis. And if you teach them the objects that they commonly use, then when you ask them to go do something or go find something, they're going to be more independent if you've already been working on this vocabulary. If your student's having success with receptive ID, of these common objects, you can try Expressive ID. The first level I would do is just label the object. So you could say, what is it? And you can either model banana, or you can just have them say banana. And then you would do that with all of the other common objects. What's this? What's this? Then once they're able to do that, you could add another word in there, so like yellow banana, or you could use a carrier phrase, which might be easier, see banana. And then later on, you could add another word to make a sentence, I see a banana. So the more words you have the child express, the harder it's going to be. If your student is using an AAC device or core language board, you can do the same concept. Instead of having them express, you can do it on the AAC device following the same protocol, and also with the core board following the same protocol.